Hello, game gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain.
I'm Lynn.
And today we are going to be counting down our top 10 favorite icebreaker games. So, what makes a good icebreaker game, Lynn? What do you think? This was your idea for this one.
It is a game that is easy to teach.
I agree.
And playtime tends to be on the shorter side in case the new person is not enjoying the game.
I would also say that it should be a game for more than two players because, generally speaking, icebreaker games are the kind of games you bring to a game night where you know there's some non-gamers or new gamers there and you're trying to introduce them to fun, lighter games first. Or maybe not lighter, but easier to pick up.
Yes.
I think I may push the whole shorter time length a little bit. I think I have some icebreaker games in here that might be a little bit longer.
Well, I have varying lengths because I tried to spread out the genre of game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have some card games,
Mm-hmm.
I have a worker placement game, I have all different kinds of
I did some similar
of games.
I did some similar with my
obviously
choices.
there's no real short worker placement game
There's some short-ish ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, so without any further ado, I guess we'll just jump into it. Do you want to go first or second with this one?
I'll go first.
You go first? All right, so without any further ado, we're going to get to Lynn's number 10. Number 10.
So my number 10 is Dice Miner.
Oh.
And it is it's difficult. Well, it's a dice game. Obviously.
It's a dice drafting game.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a dice drafting game.
Dice drafting game.
Yes.
And I mean, it's easy to pick up.
Oh, yes.
And it's fun. Who doesn't like chucking a lot of dice?
We taught this one to my mom, and she liked it so much, she taught it to some of her retiree friends. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, that
when they get sick of,
Mahjong.
Playing Mahjong, they play Dice Miner.
Yeah. So, so it's very easy to pick up. I think it's a great choice. It might be appearing higher on my list. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to say about Dice Miner? Because it's a dice drafting game. It's got this really cool, you didn't talk about the vertical board. It's got this really cool vertical board.
Yeah, it's got a little mountain, and then you draft dice from the mountain, and you can only take dice generally from the top of the mountain.
Yeah, and it's cool, you randomly throw them in there. And then once you collect them between rounds, you get to re-roll them to try to get certain things. But you're drafting them for their symbols on the dice to try to get certain combinations of abilities. It is a lot of fun. Really cool game. Is that it? Anything you want to... Okay.
No.
So my number 10, and I picked this one because this is a super easy game to pick up and play for anybody new to gaming. It is Potion Explosion. Potion Explosion is like Candy Crush or any of those other kind of puzzle games that people play on their mobile devices turned into a board game. It has this awesome little three-dimensional piece that goes in the middle of the table that the marbles that are the components for potions you're trying to make are poured into. And
it's like the ingredient extractor or something.
Yeah, and then you pull a marble out, which you're collecting, to put on one of your potions to try to collect the ingredients for that potion. When you pull a marble out, the marbles click together. And if the marbles that click together are the same color, they blow up and you get them too. And if the ones that click together again are the same color, you get them also. But if you can't use them, you have to pass them on to the other players, and everybody gets to try to draft an ingredient, one of the marbles themselves. And when you complete potions, you get to flip them over, and then each one has a one-use ability you can get by drinking the potion, which gives you all sorts of crazy abilities you can do throughout the game. Very easy to play, lots of fun abilities, lots of variability because of the different potions, because you don't use all the potions every time. Anything you want to say about Potion Explosion?
No.
No, pretty good?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get on to our number 9s. Number 9.
My number 9 is Asking for Troubles. What?
Nothing.
This is a worker placement game that is child friendly. It's a family weight worker placement. I don't know. You have any? I'm sure you have more things to say than me.
Well, my number 9 is asking for troubles.
Okay.
So, yes, I do. That's why I was like, I reacted that way. I was like, oh,
Okay.
wow, okay. So not only did we totally agree that asking for troubles belongs on this list, we agreed to where it belonged on the list. So this is a great intro level worker placement game. It's probably one of the best games to be a gateway game into worker placement games of all time. Because most worker placement games are heavier than this.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few that are this light and easy to pick up. We have taught this one to children under 10, and they have picked it up really quickly and then loved it. So, yeah, total agreement. Plus, I mean, the cartoony style is very family friendly. The Trobles are adorable. These orange, like, space monsters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then also all of the different abilities, the things that you can do around the board work really well and are well balanced. It's an absolutely fantastic worker placement game where you're trying to catch the Trobles and throw them into the sun because they are monsters to get the points, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a ton of fun. Absolutely, absolutely fantastic. Totally agree.
Okay.
Number 8.
My number 8 is Mysterium. Which is what kind of game is it?
Well,
It's cooperative.
It's cooperative. It's deduction.
Deduction, yeah.
I would say deduction. I would say it's a cooperative deduction, almost party game. It's weird because that'd be, if it is a party game, it'd be one of the very rare party games that you love.
Yeah. I guess.
It's definitely a deduction game. I mean,
you're looking at pictures and trying to figure out how they relate to the stuff on the board.
Well, why don't you talk about how the game plays a little?
Well, one person is the ghost and is in charge of giving all the players cards with various, like, trippy pictures on them.
Yeah.
And the players have to figure out it's a
person.
Is it a person?
It's first a person.
It's a person, a place, and a thing.
Yes.
And they have to figure out, like, is the person who killed or the killer?
The person is their killer. The place is where they were killed, the ghost. And the thing is something that has to do with the murder.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the murder weapon, but something that's important to maybe why they were murdered, or but it has to do with the murder in some way. And the ghost is trying to give each of the players hints to what their particular person, place, or thing is. And once you all get them, then there's like a group vision where the ghost gives you one more set of hints to try to tell you which one of the visions was actually correct. Because only one of them was actually 100% on.
The rest of the ghosts are liars.
Yeah, apparently. But no, it's a great game. I don't know if this one didn't make my list. It felt a little borderline to me because there's so much going on.
Yeah, but because they can help each other, you can have, like, a couple new people. As long as, like, there's one person, a player who's not the ghost, who knows what they're doing, they can help the other people.
That's a good point. I can totally see that. So my number 8, I stuck with the space theme from the last one. I went with After Nova. After Nova is a great little game of trying to do negotiations to gather resources. You get these hands of cards, which are like these anthropomorphic animal astronauts. You're each on these salvage ships trying to salvage resources from these, like, blown up planets after a supernova happened. And the planets tell you, like, what sort of workers you're going to need to salvage them. But you're almost never going to have all the workers yourself. Or if you do, you definitely won't the next time around. So what you do is you go like, okay, well, I have, some of this symbol that this planet needs. Who's got some of this? And then Lynn says, oh, well, I've got that. And you say, oh, okay. Well, if you contribute that, you can take the red one. And Lynn goes, I don't want the red one. I want the yellow one. Like, but I want the yellow one. And then you start doing your negotiations, and then someone else jumps in like, well, I can give you that symbol, and I'll take the yellow one. And they're like, all right, well, who has this symbol? And what would you like? And you negotiate, and then you all play the cards. The planet gets scrapped, and you split up the resources. It's a really cool intro-level game. It's a lot of fun. It's never fallen flat for us. I thoroughly enjoyed the artwork. Is awesome. I love the artwork of all the weird planets, as well as the weird anthropomorphic animal astronauts. Really cool looking game. Really cool, fun playing game. And it's because everybody gets how to negotiate. It's a very easy game for people who are not into gaming to pick up and play. Any thoughts on After Nova?
I didn't even remember it until you were halfway through your explanation.
Did it come back to you? Do you remember? Because we played it a bunch.
I remember it.
Okay, but they wouldn't hit your list, though.
No.
Okay, well, I guess I liked it more than you. Number 7.
My number 7 is Shipshape.
Oh! I didn't even think of this one. It's such a good one.
And, well, again, like, there's some sort of bidding.
There is bidding.
There's bidding.
Bidding is one of the biggest parts of the game.
Yeah, but you're just, okay.
You're bidding for turn order.
Yeah. And then it's just sort of like
spatial awareness.
Spatial pattern?
It's like a spatial awareness. You have, so in Shipshape, you're playing smugglers. Do you need some help?
Yes.
Okay. Shipshape, you're playing smugglers, and you're trying to get lots of loot to port. And there's multiple kinds of symbols that'll wind up on the boards or on the cargo holds you get. You have this stack of cargo holds, all right? And you can, without moving them, you can kind of look down through them. There are holes through a lot of the space, and you can kind of try to figure out part of what's in the cargo holds based on what you can see. And you bid on where you want to be in the turn order. Once you've all done your bid, you have to take the cargo holds in those orders. So whoever bid the highest takes the first one, then the second one, then the third. And then you can turn it and flip it and get it to the right way you want to try to cover bad things, like rats are bad things, while showing good things like money and cannons. And there's a third thing, right? It's
like contraband, but you don't want the most contraband.
Yeah, like you want, it's weird. So like money is like straight up, you just get points. Whereas cannons, you don't want to have the most.
Yeah, you don't want to have
Or is that contraband?
That's contraband.
You don't want to have the most. Everybody else gets points, but the person with the most gets stopped by customs.
Yeah.
And then
with cannons, you don't want to have the lead. No.
I forget how, but it's weird. There's some weird scoring mechanism.
It's another thing where
you should have looked up the points when it's on your list before we did this one. I don't remember exactly. But
I never do that.
You should. Okay, but that's how it kind of plays. And it's a really neat game. The spatial awareness, the turning the boards around, and also the bidding is really cool in it. I thoroughly agree. And did you have anything to say about your entry?
No, I never do.
That you should have looked up how to freaking play before we did the list. Jeez, Lynn, derelict in your duties. So what number was that?
I think it was 7.
Check your list. Jesus.
Yeah, it was 7.
Okay. All right, my number 7 is Dice Miner. We already talked about it a bunch when Lynn had it on her list. It is a great game. Obviously, I thoroughly agree. I just had it even higher on my list. Number 6.
My number 6 is Noctiluca. And so this is, there's dice, but you don't roll them.
You roll them once when you place them.
Okay. So you roll them once, but what you do is you pick a number because it's like the board. I don't know how to describe the board.
It's a pond with a bunch of hexes that go across the pond, and the dice are put in the different spaces.
And
the
you have
different
to pick
hexes.
a direction.
You put a pawn on one of the shores, and you pick one of the directions across the pond. Yes.
And then you pick a number, and you collect all the dice of that number, but they're all different colors.
Yes.
And then you use the colors to place them in your little jars, and then once you fill a jar, it'll have spaces on there, like you need like 3 purple and 2 green. Once you do that, you can trade it in, and you get a medallion.
It's definitely got a lot of similarities to a game that was on my list already, which was Potion Explosion, because the marbles and the dice work very similarly. And similarly, if you have extra dice, you pass them around and people get to draft them. This is a really good game that didn't quite make my list, but I thoroughly agree that it's a fantastic icebreaker game, actually. Anything else you want to say about Noctiluca, which was your number 7?
6.
6?
No.
I knew that. 6. My number 6 is Lizard Wizard.
Is that easy?
I think it is. It's maybe about a middleweight. It's not a lightweight. So maybe I'm pushing it a little bit, but the thing is, it's got a fairly light theme. It's got a fun economic feel to it for collecting the ingredients and the way the values of the ingredients work. As long as you have someone who's already knows how to play it and is teaching everybody else, I think it's a game that can be fairly easy to play. There's a lot of things going on, but each of them individually is fairly easy to understand. how you do the bidding, how you get the lizard wizards, how you get the towers. It's all fairly easy to understand. How the market works and collecting them, collecting the resources to do the spells is fairly easy to understand. The push your luck mechanic for going into the dungeon is, individually. There's a lot of things, but they're each fairly easy to understand. I like Lizard Wizard a lot. It's a spiritual successor to Raccoon Tycoon. A little more advanced than Raccoon Tycoon, but I think worth it because everything they added on was good. And I like this game a lot. And the art is, like, amazing. It's absolutely gorgeous. And for all those reasons, Lizard Wizard is my number 6 favorite icebreaker game. What do you think?
I don't think that's an icebreaker, but...
You think it's too heavy? Did I stretch that one?
You literally just said that it's more advanced than Raccoon Tycoon.
So should I put Raccoon Tycoon on the list? All right. Well, I like it. Number 5.
My number 5 is Baron Park.
Oh, great one.
And in Baron Park, you are building a bear park. So you have little pieces like Tetris shaped pieces, and you have a little park in front of you with squares, and you cover some stuff up, and then when you cover stuff up, you get to draft other things depending on what you cover up, and at the end, you have a little bear park filled with bears. It's really awesome, and you're right, and I mean, like what you said literally described it pretty well. You're placing pieces to draft more pieces to place more pieces, and eventually you want to fill. One of the things you can draft is even new boards to place more pieces on. And you want to fill 4 boards first, essentially, and get the most points. This is a great icebreaker game. It's one I thought of, but didn't quite make my list, but I love it, and I don't disagree with it being on your list at all. In fact, I think it's great that it's on your list. Baron Park is phenomenal. Anything else you want to say about Baron Park before I get to my number 5? No.
My number 5 is kind of a series of games. It is Exit the Game. So Exit the Game is a series of games where each one is only one use. So the thing is, if you're going to get one for an intro level game night, you're going to buy it for that one night and that's it. That said, they are each an escape room in a box. They have a ton of puzzles in them. I have liked others, some more than others in the Exit the Game line. Some of my favorites were I love Exit Theft on the Mississippi. I absolutely loved the Haunted Roller Coaster and the what was the one we played with? There were a couple we played where they had little puzzles in them that were really great. They actually had jigsaw puzzles.
Oh,
it was something about an idol, the Cursed Idol.
Yeah,
Cursed Idol was one. That was one. I don't remember the other one was. But we did a bunch. We did a bunch of reviews on the channel if you want to see which ones specifically we like. But the thing about these is they're very free form in trying to figure out the puzzle. And they encourage people to think outside the box. And I find that people who are not necessarily well versed in modern board games still know how to play these. Because like you put this out and everybody's like, oh, I get it. Like this is a riddle and I have to figure out the riddle. And that's great. And I think they're really good, a really good intro level game for people who don't know a lot about modern games. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Totally agree?
Yeah.
Okay, and that is why my number 5 is Exit the Game. Number 4.
My number 4 is Fire Tower. And so in Fire Tower, you are trying to burn down the other player's tower. Fire Tower, yeah. So it's a... What kind of game is this?
Hard to describe.
Is it?
Yeah, well, you use cards.
You
hand management. There's hand management.
Yeah, and the
pattern
cards,
forming.
The cards. Well, you're not forming the pattern.
You form the patterns with the cards.
Yeah, the cards tell you where the fire spreads.
Yeah,
and you can affect it a little bit.
You can affect it a lot with the cards.
With your hand of cards.
And you play some cards defensively to put fire out coming towards you, or build fire breaks to stop it from coming towards you, and you play offensively with spreading the cards. Fire spreads on its own a little bit with a die roll at the beginning of every round, but then you get to play cards, and you can either offensively spread fire towards your opponent's fire tower, or put out fire coming towards you, or build fire breaks to stop it from coming towards you. That basically.
Yeah.
It's a very cool game. We've done a lot of these have got full review and tutorials if you want to check them out on our channel. or in the case of ones that we don't have ones on the channel, someone else I'm sure does. But this one we did a review and tutorial on. This is a really cool, fun game. So really, you think this one's a real good? I don't know if I would have picked this one as a good icebreaker though. It's like a good intro level. There's a lot going on.
Not really. You spread the fire. You try and burn the other people. What's not to like?
Okay, fine. My number 4 favorite icebreaker game is. I didn't say I didn't like it, by the way. I said I wasn't sure it was a icebreaker. My number, as I do like it, my number 4 favorite icebreaker game is Garinto. Garinto is this really cool tile stacking game. You make out this form of randomized tiles on the board, and then you have tiles around the edges, and you take turns picking a tile and moving it into the board along the row or column that it's on. And when you land it, you're allowed to draft tiles from the board around it or under it based on what color it is. So, one color allows you to draft from under it. One color allows you to draft like adjacent to it, anywhere orthogonally along from it, or diagonally along from it in the form. And you get to draft those tiles. You try to collect tiles to gain points. And there are objectives for gaining bonus points based on what tiles you draft. This game is a lot of fun. It's very puzzly. It feels very similar, again, like an earlier game I had mentioned. It feels very similar to a puzzle video game done as a board game and done right. What do you think?
I think sometimes the objectives can make it more difficult than it really is. Like if you... What?
Okay, I'm listening.
If you get contradictory objectives, it can be confusing.
Well, because you could either go towards one or the other then at that point. You have 2 different ways to get bonus points. But anyway, that's Garinto is my number 4. I love Garinto. Okay.
Okay.
Number 3.
3?
Yeah, we're at 3.
So my number 3 is Woodlands.
Mm.
It's a family weight game.
Yes.
Where you have to make like a hedge maze.
Yes.
And at the end of you making the hedge maze, you have a certain amount of time.
It's done real time for the hedge maze.
Yeah, then you have a little figure that needs to travel through the hedge maze, and you get points depending on how many things
you're able to walk over.
You can walk over and collect, and the advanced ones you have to avoid certain things. And
yes, it gets much more advanced as it goes. It starts very basic, but it ramps up difficulty. They have like 4 different full modules, each with multiple boards, each one with a different theme. They have a Little Red Riding Hood, Robin Hood, King Arthur, and Dracula, yeah.
It's like Dracula's the odd one
it's
out.
kind of the odd one out in that, yeah. But that is a really cool game, and actually, you're right. I agree because again, the concept of how to do it actually is because you use tiles to make the hedge maze after someone places down the
it's like a transparency,
and you got to look at the transparency and be like, oh, okay, how am I going to arrange these? But it works out pretty well, and beginning gamers I think are don't really have too much of a problem with it. We have played it with some people who are not like real gamers, and they've liked it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. My number 3 is one I know you will not argue with me on. You've argued with me on like multiple of my entries so far. Like said that they were not valid, but there's no way you are going to argue with the Guild of Merchant Explorers. In point of fact, I would put money on it that it will be higher on your list. Even though it's number 3 on mine.
I don't know.
This is a game we played recently for the first time and have played every module in it at least once, multiple times for some, because we love it. The game is really great. It's a lot of fun. It's very easy to teach. You each kind of play on your own, but for teaching, you can take the time to show people exactly how to play and help them with their turns. So it's good in that regard. And in reality, it's about playing a card and taking its ability. You put the card out. Everybody can do its ability of play
a mountain.
Play on a mountain. You put cubes on a mountain. You have to make a path. You're making these paths like a path making game.
Yeah. And
you're trying to connect certain areas to get points or fill up cubes in a whole area to be able to put a city there and get points and or towns or whatever. connect multiple cities to make a trade route and get points, build on a tower to get the tower. And there's tons of different ways to get points. It looks really cool on the table. The cubes are fun to play with. It's very satisfying to place the paths of cubes. And the tons of different strategies that work for this game and different ways of getting points is really, really cool. And it's a lot of fun, and it's not hard to understand. So I think it's a great icebreaker game.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on the Guild of Merchant Explorers?
It's on my list.
I knew it. Number 2.
My number 2 is the Guild of Merchant Explorers.
Oh, there it is. There it
that
is.
you have previously mentioned.
Yes, I did.
So.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add about the Guild?
No.
No? Did I cover it pretty well?
Yeah.
All right, my number 2 is another new game on us, but a phenomenal game that we had a absolute blast playing, and it is Nidavellir. Nidavellir is a great game. We got a review copy. We've done a review and tutorial if you want to check it out fully how to play. But the basic is, it's kind of a bidding game, but as it was described to me once, a bidding game for people who don't like bidding games. Lynn is not normally a fan of bidding games and loved this game, so that's a perfect example. But you bid for the order in which you get to draft cards. And then the cards, you are set collecting, which you love set collecting, and I love set collecting. You're set collecting these dwarves, and there are all these different classes of dwarves, and they get you points in different ways. And then there are special dwarves you can get that have like special abilities or special ways to get you points, which is really cool. I'd say it's a bidding, set collecting, drafting game. And then one of the really cool things is periodically you want to throw a bid. Every once in a while, you're like, okay, I think my opponent's going to go full in on the bid over here. So instead of even trying, I'm going to put a 0 there. And when you throw the bid and put a 0 there, you instead get to upgrade one of your bid coins. So you have these 2 coins you put in your coin purse, which is a part of the board, and you flip them up, and whichever was the lower of them, you get to boost it up significantly because you played the 0 there. And there's a bunch of coins off to the side that go all the way up to like 24, I think is the highest coin.
I think so, yeah.
And eventually your bid, because you start with your highest coin is like a 9.
No,
Or is it even lower? Is it like a 5?
Yeah.
Okay, I was mistaken. Thank you. The highest coin is like a 5 to start with, but eventually you can get up to 24, which is crazy cool. Anything you want to say about Nidavellir?
No.
Do you agree that's a good idea?
I agree. I must have not seen it on the shelves.
Oh, you just didn't think of it?
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
I think it's in the new shelves over there.
Okay.
I'm not sure now. But yeah, so it might have made your list if you remembered it existed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And now it is time for number 1.
My number 1 icebreaker game is Parade.
Oh.
So it's a fast little card game. Where it's Alice in Wonderland themed.
Oh yeah.
You put the parade out on the table.
The parade is a draw of cards.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's got all the characters on it, and they look like they're marching in a parade when you put them out next to each other. And you have to play a card from your hand at the tail end of the parade.
Yes.
And then, depending on what card you play, you may have to pick up other cards in the parade.
So the card is numbered, and the different characters each have their own suit. So when you play a card, you count that many cards into the parade. So if you played an 8, you count 8 cards. You don't have to take those. After the 8 cards, if any card is equal to or less than the value of the card you played. So in this example, I played an 8. So any 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0, because there are 0 cards, or any card that's the same suit. So I played an 8. Let's say I played an 8 Mad Hatter. Anything after the first 8 cards that's either a Mad Hatter or an 8 or less, I have to take and set collect in front of me. But you don't want to set collect in this game because you don't want points.
Yeah, it's the least points wins.
But then also, and this is where it gets a little confusing, but also awesome, is there's this interesting thing with the scoring where you don't want cards because you don't want points, but if you get cards, you want the most of those suits, because whoever has the most of each of the, I think it's 5 suits or 6 suits?
I think there's 6 suits. I don't...
Whoever has the most of each suit gets to flip those cards face down, and instead of having their face value, they now are only 1 point each. So it has this very interesting back and forth dynamic. Very cool. Very cool, number 1. I thoroughly agree. though not enough to have it be my number one.
Okay.
Because my number one is Takenoko, which is a fantastic game about gardeners and pandas in a royal garden in Japan. And it's adorable and it's fun and it has dice rolling and it has board building and it has set collecting. It has a lot going on. Basically, you have this area and you're slowly building up the garden and you're moving the panda around to eat bamboo because tiles get put out that grow bamboo, and when it rains, more bamboo grows, and you have a gardener you can move around to make the bamboo grow. And there's lots of different cards you can collect, which are point cards, which get you bonus points for either having the panda eat certain combinations of colors of bamboo, or having certain shapes of colors of tiles on the board, or having certain heights of a certain number of bamboo stalks of a certain color, because there are multiple colors of bamboo. The game looks great on the table, has an amazing presence. The panda is adorable. The expansion, which adds in the female and the baby pandas, is great. And once I got it, I'd never play without it. It's fantastic. And I've had much success with using this to introduce people not used to modern gaming because it is super fun, super easy to get into, and looks so good on the tabletop. Anything you want to say on Takenoko?
No, I think you covered it.
Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, okay. So just when
I just don't like it as much as you.
Okay, that's fair. I still really like Takenoko, though. I do really like it. I really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. All right, so there you have it. That is our top 10 favorite Icebreaker games. So feel free to comment down below what games we missed. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and share it on all forms of social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.
Hi.
Oh, I think we're having a puppy blooper here. Somebody says, what's going on here? Why am I not involved? No, you cannot speak on the mic. Your breath stinks. Your breath is smelly. Your breath is smelly. You have smelly breath. You do. Oh, I'm getting kisses. You jelly. You jelly. I'm getting all the kisses right now.
No.
Sticking his tongue in my ear. That's fresh. Okay, baby. I love you too. I love you too. Okay. Would you go play with your toys? Let mommy and daddy finish filming for right now, okay?